Welcome to the Successful Thinking Podcast, where I will share with you the elements for a successful thinking process, and we will talk to people who have a successful thinking mindset. Hello, how are you guys? I hope you had a nice New Year's Eve, and I want to wish you all the best for 2022. Today is a very special episode. It's the last episode of Season 1, where I explained you everything about the theory of successful thinking process. Super happy about it. But before going to the episode itself, I would like to share you something that a friend of mine requested, which is to explain you why I always start the episode with "Hello." The truth is, when I was creating the podcast, I thought to myself, I need to create a good opening. And so, when I was thinking, I also realized it needs to be simple, something catchy. I also went to look for some YouTubers and some podcasters and then realized, I need to be something short. And then I decided to keep it simple. I looked to my logo. My logo has three colors. Dark blue kind of represents the environment, the yellow that represents the thought, and the red that really represents the successful thinking process. And so yellow exactly represents the thought itself. And so, hello and yellow, and combine it goes yellow. So that's it. It's very simple, but so every time I start an episode, it goes like that. So coming back to today's episode, basically it's a conclusion of everything that I shared with you before. So on my first episode, I shared a story about the moment I had to do a presentation to a very senior team and how I developed a successful thinking process in order to make that presentation memorable. That was a very practical way for you to understand how successful thinking process can be applied and at what moment. In order to better understand the meaning of successful thinking process, it was important to start by defining success and what it represents. We need to redefine the meaning of success and understand that it depends on the goals and objectives that we define. Information is the key element that triggers our thinking process. And so, for my third episode, I talked about how information influences our daily lives, and I showed to you how it moves us and impacts our decisions. The first thing we do when we wake up is to look at the phone, at least most of us. And right there, our day is influenced by information. It can either be a text from someone, a like that we got, or that we do, information about the weather, etc. The second element that I talked in that episode was about behavior and understanding that we behave as a response towards the information that we got or the information that we received, and we can behave in a more active or passive way. For the fourth episode, I shared you about one of the most important elements that constrain our thinking process, or that limit and define our thinking process, that is the environment. The environment is defined as the circumstances, objects, or conditions by which we are surrounded. And so, the year that we are born, the place where we live, our gender, our conditions, and everything that surrounds us define the access we have either to information, to education, or to any other element. Education is fundamental to help us developing our thinking process. Unfortunately, not everyone has the same access to education. In that episode, I talked about the three types of education: formal, informal, and non-formal, and how it is important to understand the difference between all of them and when each type of them should be applicable. I also talked about the two types of knowledge, tacit and explicit. Reading a book is a way of acquiring knowledge, but it does not always mean it is the most efficient way to acquire knowledge, because it does not pass the experience that we got or that others got. With education and knowledge, it is important to understand how to express our thoughts in the most efficient and successful way. The art of arguing is not something easy to master, as it implies a good knowledge of who your audience or who our audience is, what is the best way to communicate with them, what's their vocabulary, and their environment. A good example of someone who was successful on communicating his thoughts was Martin Luther King. And it's very important that our behavior reflects what we communicate. Can you imagine if Thomas Edison would say to everyone that he knew how to create a light bulb without doing all of his trials and without even showing us his experiments? As Mahatma Gandhi said, actions expresses priorities, and so our behavior defines what is a priority to us at the moment, and if it does not reflect what we communicate, we can lose the power and the essence of what our communication was, what we share. In order to avoid unexpected information, we tend to create plans. Creating a plan increases our chances of succeeding in our challenges, in our life, but it's important not to overthink, otherwise we will become obsessed in a negative way, and that will consume and deviate us from our goals. In some situations, especially those where our lives is at risk, it's even more important to act than to think. We need to learn with experience and with our mistakes how to improve our reaction skills when time is important. For my episode number 8, we talked about the power of silence. What do we represent? It is a sign of wisdom and experience to know when to be in silence, and in some cases, it's even a cultural habit. Therefore, it's really important to read the room that we are. In the last episode, for this one, we talked about the difference between community and the crowd, and how all the previous episodes allow us to differentiate both groups of people. We need to work towards more of a community where we can benefit from the synergies and its strengths. And now, today, that I shared everything on last episodes about what defines a successful thinking process, it is important that we need to become aware of the realities that we face, those realities that we live. A reality is the moment of action. And so, in every moment, in every challenge, in every decision, we need to, with experience, with knowledge and creativity, develop a successful thinking process in order to achieve our goals. It is important to understand if we have all the information that we need to make a decision, and then we need to accept that decision that we make. That will allow us to become more self-empowered and confident that we developed a successful thinking process. So I hope you guys enjoyed the content of today, and especially of the whole season that we had together. I will do a small break before next season. I will do some interviews where I'll ask some successful people about their thinking process. And I think season 2 will be the season where you have a lot of content for you to consume. I would love to share all of the interviews I have with you so that you can understand better how to develop a successful thinking process. So follow me on my Instagram so you can get up to date about my new episodes. Feel free to like my episodes, and please share all of my episodes in your social media. That will allow me to get to more people, and that way share more and help more people to have a successful thinking process. Season 2 will start on fire. So I'll see you there.